Actually, Sankhya very elaborately explained it in the 11th canto of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, while instructing Uddhava, Krishna mentioned that this concept of Sankhya are many. Some Sankhya philosophers have considered 16, some consider 24, some consider 25, but some consider even 28. But the general consideration of Sankhya is transcending the matter, coming to the spirit. That is the main purpose of Sankhya. And how you know how Krishna described it in Bhagavad Gita? Krishna described this whole thing in just 2 verses. Bhumir apo analo vayu kham mano buddhi revacha ahankara ityam me bhinna prakriti rashtra. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. This material nature is composed of these 8 elements. But then Krishna is saying, aparayamitastanam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho jajedam dharipati. There's all this material nature composed of these 8 elements is inferior in nature. Apara yam itastu annam prakritim vidhi me param. Beyond that, there is a param, a superior nature of mind, and jiva bhutan, the living entities are coming from that superior nature. So, the same thing. This material nature is composed of 8 elements, but beyond that, there is a superior nature, and the jiva bhutan, living entities, are coming from that superior nature. And the jivas are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is initially identified as the Super Soul. So Spirit Soul and Super Soul. So yoga actually is the process that is establishing the relationship between the Spirit Soul with the Super Soul. And what is the ultimate consideration, ultimate goal of yoga or ultimate achievement of yoga? Yoga has 8 stages. Ashtanga Yoga. There, yam or external purification, niyam, internal purification, asana, the different postures to situate the soul properly in the body. That is the meaning of asana. Then pranayam, controlling the breathing, pratyahar, withdrawal of the senses from the objects of the senses. Then comes dhyana or meditation. Meditation upon whom? The Super Soul in the heart. Then when that meditation becomes fixed up, it is dharana, and when one sees the Super Soul in the heart, then it is samadhi. So this is how the jnana is leading to the perception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the next step is, or next consideration is, natural consideration is, when the Spirit Soul sees the Super Soul, what happens? When somebody comes across someone who is very great, how does one feel? When you come across someone very great, you become humble. That's right. Yeah. You bow down in front of Him, you surrender yourself to Him. So this surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Super Soul, is the beginning of devotion. When one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the devotion to the Lord. This surrender is called Sharanagati or Prapatti. Prapatti. Tamaham Prapadde. I surrender unto you. This Prapatti or surrender is the beginning of devotion. So this is how we can see how gradually the search for spiritual progress, the search for spiritual situation leads to devotion. The devotion also has different levels. One aspect of devotion is devotional service mixed with fruitive desire. Mixed devotion. Mixed devotional service. Mixed with what? We also previously considered karma and jnana. When devotion is mixed with fruitive desires, it is called karma mishra. Mishra. Mixed devotion. Devotion to Krishna is mixed with knowledge, jnana, then it is jnana mishra. Karma mishra bhakti, devotional service, leads to material enjoyment. When there is a desire for enjoyment, it is karma mishra. When devotion is mixed with the desire of liberation, it is jnana mishra. But when the devotion from karma and jnana karmad anapritam anukullena krishnanushilanam bhakti uttam, then it is called pure devotional service. Pure, no mixture. What is impurity? Any element that is other than that is impure. So pure devotion is devoid of any impurities like karma mishra, karma and jnana. Jnana karma anabritam. Free from the coverings of jnana and karma. So that is pure devotional service. Then pure devotional service also has different levels. Pure devotional service in the mood of servitorship. And devotional service in the mood of friendship. Devotional service in the mood of parental. Just the way the parents love their child, when a devotee loves the Lord as his own child, that is vatsalya or parental love. And beyond that is madhur or conjugal relationship. Just as a young boy and young girl love each other, when there is a loving relationship between the Lord and the devotees, just as young girls love for a young boy, that is called madhur. Now these three devotions, like serving the Lord as a servant, is natural things, because constitutionally every living entity is a servant of the Supreme Personality of So that is, the Lord is the Supreme Master and every living entity is a servant. That is a natural relationship with God. But friendship, parental and conjugal, these three relationships with the Lord are not natural. It's abnormal. Because friendship takes place between the equals. How can anyone become equal to God? Parental, the Lord becomes subordinate. How can anyone become superior to the Lord? And falling in love with the Lord as a handsome young boy and the loving relationship between young girls and young boys. Young boy, how can that be? So these three relationships, as I say, are unusual or abnormal. It's not possible to have these kind of relationships with God. But there is one very special area in the spiritual sky called Vrindavan, where these three relationships are predominant. These three relationships as friendship. Yes, there Krishna has relationship with the cowherd boys of his similar age as friends. And they play like friends. And there is relationship that the Lord is treated like a young little boy, and just as the parents treat their little child. And in Vrindavan, there are some girls who think that Krishna is the object of their love. So these three relationships are available in a place called Vrindavan. Now, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we got these special relationships available to us. Actually, Krishna made this good fortune for us, appearing as Sri Chaitanya. In the spiritual sky, there is a region called Vrindavan, which is the topmost region of the spiritual world, where Krishna allows these relationships. Krishna allows his devotees to develop these relationships. Now the nice thing or unusual thing about that place is, in that place, in that region of the spiritual sky, Krishna is not God. He's a cowherd boy. With God, one cannot develop these relationships. But with a village boy, it's possible. And that is what Krishna has done. In Vrindavan, Krishna is not playing the role of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is playing the role of a cowherd boy. And everyone there do not treat Krishna as God. They forgot that Krishna is God. Not really forgot. To them, Krishna is not the Supreme Personality of God. Actually, this kind of there are two types of forgetfulness. One kind of forgetfulness is out of ignorance. When you are in ignorance, then you forget. But there is another kind of forgetfulness is out of love. Like for example, someone very dear to you has become a very big person. Like for example, the sun has become